January 14th of 2020, the Holy Spirit met me at the end of a second year school day. And we were doing revival history with Bill Johnson, and people were walking around the room to look at different artifacts: chair from the Welsh Revival, Catherine Kuhlman's dress, crutches from Catherine Kuhlman's, like when she would do revival services and people got healed. And I was walking to the back of the room to go pack up my stuff, and the Lord told me to start laying hands on people. And I knew I had to grab the face of the first person walking up to the chair in the front of the Welsh Revival. And I remember thinking, like, God, that doesn't work. There's a line of 150 people wanting to see this chair. They need to go to class in 15 minutes. And I the one thing the greatest fear I had was to embarrass my fathers and for people to think I wanted attention. And here I am in the front of the room after my fathers just shared. But I knew, and for 3 months, I'd been yielding, like you guys have been yielding for the last 2 weeks. I've been yielding and posturing myself the best way I could. And I knew, like, well, like, I've given myself to getting rid of my shield of the fear of man. And so as I walked up to lay hands on this first person, as I reached forward for their face, the power of the Holy Spirit hit me from the top of my head, shot through my feet, and then through my arms and out of my hands. And that the person went flying back before I even could fully touch their face, and looked over to one of my third years and I said, you better text my husband and tell him I don't know when I'm going to be home. And from that moment, my mind went completely blank. And all I could think were the thoughts of God. It was like I could only hear one thing, and I just kept hearing I say, honor them for being a resting place. And I'd say, God, thank you for this resting place. Thank you for this house to hold your glory. Thank you for this prepared place. And as I would do that, the Lord would tell me to wait sometimes. And he was really particular about when to lay hands, when to say things. But it was like I was fully overtaken, and I was shaking violently under the power of God. And if I'm honest, I don't totally remember the next 3 hours. I remember coming to, there's moments where I can remember, and there's other moments where it's just kind of a blur. And I kind of came around probably about nearly 3 hours afterwards, and school was supposed to be going on in other rooms, but there was about 200 people on the floor encountering the Holy Spirit, and I was being held up by two of our pastors because I couldn't walk. I'd shook so violently, and the fire was so strong on me that I'd sweat through all of my clothing, including my pants. I didn't know. I thought only drummers could sweat through their pants. I'd sweat through. I mean, it's not dignified, right? It's not. But that started 6 weeks of violent shaking under the power of God. My husband would wake up, and in my sleep, I'd be crying out for a baptism of fire. And I just had been completely overcome by the power of the Holy Spirit. And in that time, I was undone by the availability of the Spirit of God. And it gave me, I'm writing a book actually right now about the Holy Spirit. And the greatest grief I think I have in my heart was that I think we ask the Holy Spirit to fill a room, and we forget that he wants to fill us, that we've made the move of the Spirit a little bit impersonal. And the Holy Spirit is rain, he is wine, he is oil, he is fire, and he loves to be all those things. But each of those things are a distinct personality, and he's a person. He's the third person of the Trinity. The fire has a nature, the oil has a nature. It is all one Spirit. And he longs to walk in friendship and intimacy, and he longs for invitation. And so this was, I mean, there's so much more I can say, but this is it in a nutshell for me of what God did. And it wasn't just a moment in my life. It changed my life. I just celebrated my anniversary of my encounter. It's third anniversary. It's as beautiful as my conversion day. It's as beautiful as my own birthday, maybe more beautiful if I'm honest, because that was the day that the fear of man was dealt with.